going to join us shortly. Thanks,
Okay,
Wendy.
Darrell, start again. I just hit the record button, my dear.
You're good.
Okay.
We're in a beautiful showroom, and this is a great conference room. Wendy, I think you hosted a board meeting here a couple years ago.
We had a Christmas party
Yeah,
here, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Years
beautiful
ago.
showroom, beautiful slabs and huge warehouse.
It's very nice.
Oh, Brian's here.
Here comes Brian.
Wonderful. So we do.
Guys?
Hi, Brian. Good morning.
And there's some goodies just around the wall here.
Okay.
Good to see you, Brian. Long time no see.
Hey guys.
Good to see you.
Brian.
David.
Hey David, how are you?
I wanted to apologize for using the iPad, so we're going to try to squeeze as many people into our frame as we can. They have a tremendous, both size and quality, flat screen TV in the room, but it's not iPad friendly, so I can't connect to it. So we're going to make do anyway.
So only there was an AV guy.
If only there was an AV guy. Yeah,
And
the HDMI connection that I need is behind the wall. They didn't want to take it off the wall, but maybe you can send a crew over to help us. So anyway, wanted to go and get us started. And again, Catherine's going to join us shortly. I want to give her some more time. But let's do our introduction.
Whoops.
I want to actually do something that our good friend and colleague Michael Menn did last coffee he came up with. I thought was a pretty good format. And to do that, I want to go around the room once. Just introduce yourself. Just hello, who are you? Who do you represent? And we'll go around once, and then we're going to go around a second time and talk about a specific topic that you may have gotten a preview when you got our reminder.
Want to lower the shade?
Yeah.
I don't think there's shades. And I don't like to complain about too much sun because we have so many few
Yeah,
days
no, we're
that
good.
we have it. So, but let's start with everyone on screen. Let's start with everybody on screen. In fact, Yael, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Dan.
Sometimes my microphone doesn't work. My name is Yael Reistein. I'm the owner and principal of YR Studio. It's a design build firm, so I work with 3 other local builders, and we basically do everything from the drawings to selections and projects management. And the thing that makes us unique is that we also have a customized art studio. So we end the projects with the art on the wall. So that's YR Studio in a nutshell.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. Celine, you want to?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Celine with Graph. I've been with Graph for 5 years. I'm the Global Project Hospitality Manager. And Graph is a manufacturer of decorative plumbing. So we're half American, half European, as our headquarters is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the Midwest. This is where we stock, we service, tech support, customer support, but we also manufacture most of our kitchen and bed fittings in Europe, in Poland. So being both European and American makes us pretty unique in our designs and selection of finishes.
Great, Celine, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. Wendy, we're going to go and round out the
Okay.
virtual visitors. Go ahead.
You're starting with us from all over the world. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to have you here, Darrell. Thank you again for facilitating. Rebecca, thank you for always doing everything you do as a Midwest director. I'm Wendy Cohen. I'm the founder of Powerhouse SMART. That's my night job. As you can tell, circles under my eyes. My day job, I'm a recruiter in our industry, luxury design, build, and construction, and real estate. So I'll just do a shameless plug. We just had a fabulous event here in Newport Beach, Newport Coast. It was amazing. Celine had her West Coast rep there, Erica Lynn, sweetheart. She used to work at Ferguson for many years. And we had about 55 people at a $20 million spec home, oceanfront in Newport Beach. And it happened to be the sunset was absolutely insane. 45-minute long sunset, and we had pictures, and everybody was just loving it. And one of the things that was going on was in Newport Beach every year they have a holiday boat parade. So the boat parade was all the yachts all lit up and with Christmas, and It was just like, you
Wow.
couldn't even imagine, you like pinch yourself. And then we went to the resort at Pelican Hill and had a happy hour. So it was really, really amazing. 55 really influential, interesting new people. Many of them want to be members, and many of them are interested in going to Italy with us. So we're doing our Italy retreat. Yeah, yeah,
I'm going.
yeah. So I just had to throw that in there. Thank you very much. And we'll talk about the luxury conference later. Okay, thanks,
Yeah,
Darrell.
congratulations on that. Well, let's move into the room. And I want to start with our host. I'd like if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Ryan Tavener from Global Granite. Nice to meet you guys.
Ryan, thank you.
Catherine Burghardt, Global Granite. Nice to see you guys. Hi, Wendy.
Thank you so much for hosting.
Yeah, thank you.
Great goodies and everything. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. All right, well, let's continue with our circle of introduction. And Brian, you want to pick it up? Yeah, tilt the screen.
Hi, I'm Brian Jessen. How are you guys? With Guaranteed Rate. We're a national mortgage lender for primary homes, second homes, investment properties, lot loans, construction loans around the country. And thanks. Good to see everybody.
Brian, good to see you again.
I'm Rebecca Pagonitz, GoGo Design Group and PHS Midwest Director. Great to be here.
Great to have you here. And I'm going to tilt this so we get David back in the frame. Where do you want to go? I'll go.
Hey, everybody, David Davis Audio and Video. We do custom audio video, home theater, home automation, technology, and toys for the homes based here in Chicago.
Thank you, David.
Cool.
It's good to see you again. Darrell Katz, my company is
Toys
Impact
for the
Training
Homes.
Solutions. I do executive training, one-on-one coaching, strategic planning. I work with the board. I worked with the Powerhouse board for a few years, and nowadays I serve as a consultant to Wendy in the business. So, and always a great event to get people together. For these are meant to be just what we're doing, small, informal.
Yeah.
Everybody crunch together like this.
Yeah.
Great. That's the idea that we're after, and we're going to capitalize on that. We have, and this is something relatively new. If you haven't been to a coffee meet and greet ever, if you haven't been to one for a while, we're actually sort of planting some thoughts out there. Each time we have a different theme. We've talked about what are the business tools, electronic and automation that helps your business go. We talked about who is your mentor and what's the important significance of finding a mentor and having a mentor, particularly for our younger members. We've talked about, was another one that we did one a few months ago.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
How do you define integrity?
So things that we've been trying to talk about to bring a little bit of added theme to our meetings. Today's topic, and I'm going to kind of go off script and range it out a little bit further. The core questions we want to talk about, go around the room, is what are you looking forward to with the upcoming luxury conference in 2022? We're very excited to be able to put on the 6th annual conference. So what would you be thinking would be something you'd want to take away from? More general question would be Powerhouse. You're all Powerhouse members. How does it impact your business? How do you see Powerhouse meshing with your business? And I might take the question and twist it a little bit and say, what else could Powerhouse be doing to support your business? And then the third thing that I think we'll have enough time to talk about is, again, the structure of our events. One of the events where we were just talking as people were gathering about these very coffee meet and greets. Would we want to turn them into, Wendy, what's the title again, the pop-up?
Yes.
In addition,
Yeah.
pop-up happy.
Yes, so instead of always having, instead of always being at 10:30 or 11:30, 10:30 in the morning, still continue that, but maybe a few less a year. And instead offer once, those Thursday night, like 5:30 to 7:30 or 5:30, whatever, a pop-up happy hour in different locations within Illinois, so that because what we're missing here, we have a lot of the same wonderful people who we need to see every time, but we're missing people that have conflicts with this time frame.
Right, right. Okay. So to summarize, what do you think about the upcoming luxury conference? What are you hoping to get, looking forward to? What is Powerhouse doing to support your business, or what else could it do? And any other ideas for ways we can get together?
Great.
Somewhere between Brian and David, you two are the longest standing members in the room, I think. So you've got the most history. So I don't know which is which date you started. Who has the lowest number on their ID badge? But you want to kick us off?
Sure. I would say it's a good question, and I would say it's probably the same answer for the luxury conference and the for us, it's the introductions, getting to meet the other members that we haven't met, getting to actually connect and talk with those members. That to us has been the biggest, most helpful thing that we get out of it. I really do love the idea of the pop-up happy hour, not just because I love whiskey and it's a happy
Well,
hour.
that's part of it, yeah.
That's a small thing, but I do like, as we were talking earlier, that for us, 10:30 on Friday mornings is generally the worst time for us, just because we're doing scheduling and so having multiple, the coffee. I think at some point weren't there some lunches or something that happened?
The power connection lunches.
There were some lunches, right? So like having staggered times, I think is great and would definitely appeal to a broader scope of members.
Okay, great. That's okay. We've agreed. We're not complaining about the sun because we don't get it very often. So thank you, David. That was a good perspective. I'm going to jump to Yael as one of our newer members. Same set of questions. What are you looking forward to with the luxury conference? What else could Powerhouse be doing with your business? And any other ideas?
Sure. So yeah, I've been in Powerhouse SMART. I think it's going to be soon 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I lost count. I have, at this point, I feel like whether it's by coincidence or not, most of my business connections are all part of Powerhouse SMART. And very few of them are not. So that's a good thing. And I've met people that either helped me out with questions or difficulties I had, and they were just like mini mentors to good friends, to people who were working on really big projects. So it's been really tremendous connections. I think for me, in terms of timing, during the day is a little bit easier because with little kids, the evenings can get difficult, and finding babysitters at night is difficult. But I think it is a good idea to stagger different events because the vibe is different, and sometimes maybe people who are new or are thinking of joining would feel more comfortable with a happy hour kind of situation, and it's a good way to expand to a different crowd. In terms of the Powerhouse conference coming up, I think just the time right now is so crazy and weird, and it seems that it's going to continue further than, longer than we thought. So I think tools of how to handle, like I had a brief conversation with Wendy lately, like how do you handle expectations of the client with, estimating and pricing things, and even pricing is not the same anymore. 1 week is one thing, 1 week is another thing. And, how do you control even the emotional side of all this with a client or your contracts, and kind of more guidance and ideas of how to get into 2022.
Great, thank you, Yael. Appreciate that. Let's go back into the room. Kathy, you want to share your thoughts?
Sure, with which part?
Well, from the standpoint of if you're going to be at the luxury conference, what are your thoughts about what might, from the standpoint of Powerhouse broadly, what does it do for your business? What else could it do for your business?
We don't know about the luxury conference just yet, but I know, Wendy, I think we've been members for a while. I've known you for years. And I think that from a business standpoint, it does really help bridge the gap and network and bring people together from business to business. Time frame is always tricky. I invited several people who were not Powerhouse SMART members just to kind of get them introduced where I thought it would be good for their businesses. different reps, different builders, different fabricators, and Friday morning was like, no way.
Yeah.
It was just out of the question. So, so I think if it was a different type of event, it would be a good scenario. But yeah, but we've always enjoyed your events because it helps, you know, bridge the gap with people and helps introduce people. So that's how I know a lot of my contacts too.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the input.
Is there anything you would like to, what are your expectations? First of all, I have to say, please get your tickets before Monday because they're half price for members. And it definitely is worthwhile to get your tickets this year. It's gonna be a very, very unique conference. But I don't know if you've attended conferences in the past. Are you planning? Would you attend the conference this year? And if so, what would you like to benefit from the conference?
For the luxury conference?
Yeah. Mhm.
We haven't, just because, we fall under the, you know, like global umbrella. So if we were to attend, it would be, part of the organization. If we were to attend, we have to, you know, do it out of our own pocket. So that's kind of the trick right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So it's a company event if we go. So that's the only thing.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is there something, what is different about the luxury conference?
Yeah.
I don't think
I-
I-
Well,
I-
yeah,
I'm-
so this year,
So I
Wendy,
apologize.
should I tell
Yeah.
them?
Sure, sure. If you'd like, you know, good question, David. And so let me share the screen with you all, so you can see. So this year, the same location, because the awesome location of the Powerhouse SMART Luxury Conference at the Chicago Merchandise Mart is perfect, right? Can you see my screen, everyone?
You're good.
Okay, thanks. Hang on, I just want to pull it up. So all right. So I'm going to make it full screen. So this year, the conference is one day, and it is very different, David. Every year we try to change it up. As you know, last year, 2 days virtual. This year, not virtual, live. And even if we, you know, have 150 people as opposed to 250, which is what we typically might have, we've really slimmed it down. So it's really going to be sleek and cool and very safe. So the conference this year is really a structure. Here's the schedule. The structure is Brian Jessen, who happens to be in the room, is a huge sponsor. Usually Graf is our co-check, and we're still working with them on getting that. Brian is actually hosting the Lunch Power Connection. So back to what Catherine and David and Yael said so far, Yael, is the most important part of what you get out of Powerhouse SMART is those like introductions, talking directly to people. And that's really the platform of what we're all about. I mean, we can all, you know, even this is great and you can take notes and you can text each other and chat, but nothing like sitting next to somebody and really talking to them and getting to know them. And that's one of the things is we structure our Power Connections, which Brian is going to be hosting Power Connection Lunch. He's going to we're going to do an opening and he's going to talk about real estate, what's happening in real estate, the trends, so important. He's so knowledgeable. He'll give us that update. So Brian, if you didn't know that, you're doing that for the first 10 or 15 minutes.
I've been prepping for weeks.
Yes. Yes. And then we're going to be assigned tables in Marshall's Landing with box lunches where you'll pick what you want. So again, really clean, really, you know, safe, COVID safe. And you're going to be assigned Power Connection tables. And all of you who have not been on a Power Connection know that I, with Rebecca and Darrell and the rest of the advisory board, we hand select those groups so that I know Celine will be sitting next to at least one person she wants to meet. So we'll do that for those 2 hours instead of a lot of moving and going to different showrooms and all that germ spreading, right? Then we're going to go right upstairs to the 6th floor conference room, and that's where going to be most of the afternoon is going to be. And again, we're actually okay with 150 people because we might do tables instead of classroom style. And the entire conference is based on smart talks. So if you've ever been to a TEDx, they're anywhere between 10 and 12 minutes, 18 minutes. So we are taking that theme and we have elected or selected 10 smart talks, 10 incredible smart talk speakers. So they're going to all be in these segments here. We're not giving away the order yet. And we're going to have little intermissions because we're in the 6th floor conference room. And then we're going to have breakout groups again, where you're going to sit with that group, a different group. You might know someone again, but different group. And you're going to talk about what you just heard. And it's going to be taking those ideas into action. And then after we do the afternoon, We're not going to do our typical live jazz cocktail party with food and a vodka loge and all of that, because again, that's not COVID friendly. We're going to go down to Marshall's Landing. We're going to have half of the dining room walled off. We're going to have all the glassed area. We're going to do a toast, so you'll get a drink ticket. Design Through Dignity will talk for a few minutes. They're always our benefactor. By the way, the last Smart Talk speaker is a comic, so it'll be really fun. And then we also have a musician who does specifically to the trade type of music. So, and then it's just a toast, 5:30 to 6:30, no food. If you want to stay, you could sit at those tables in smaller groups, order off the menu, sit into small groups and continue to stay in, and again, trying to keep it safe, or you can depart. So it's 10:30 to 6:30, but really powerful. Here's just a sneak peek. And by the way, tickets are less money because we are thinking it's a little less. Right now, it's $195 for non-members, and it's half price until Monday, $95 or $98 for members. Prices are going up the next day to, I think, $225 for non-members, and then 20% discount for members. So 50% discount now. Karen Harold, who did Girl and the Goat and GT Fish and Oyster and Boca and the Nobu, and is becoming world renowned for her hospitality design firm. Robert Johnson's going to talk about inclusion. He's an attorney, and of course, economic inclusion officer for the YMCA. Alan Lev is the chairman of Belgravia Group. He's going to be doing, and some of these people have hired a smart TEDx coach, including myself. Pamela McNally, vice president of NKBA, will be there. Melanie Towley is a consultant out of Denver. She teaches, her whole program is for entrepreneurs. She was the vice president of Cambria for many years and Emser Tile. And then we just got confirmed with Carrie McCormick. She's the #1 real estate agent in Chicago. She's going to be speaking. We're talking to Andre Frazier. He's a past NFL Super Bowl winner, and he has started a custom building firm after he retired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so they're the Ohio Cincinnati custom building firm. He and I are talking today with Rebecca. Jack Pizzo, who's a landscape architect. We're talking to him on Monday. And we have 1 or 2 other people that might be surprises. So you can see they're all in different categories. They're all preparing it to be this TEDx style, which is really fun and informative, like that golden nugget moment. And it's going to be a lot of interaction. So if you come to this conference, I'd be surprised if you don't meet almost everyone who's going to be there. And now I'm going to shut up and stop sharing. Okay.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay.
Not thank you for shutting up.
What's the date? What's the date?
March 2nd, 2022.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
Okay. Oh, also there's a block of rooms at the Marriott River North, and I will be staying, my husband and I, and so will a lot of the out of towners. And if you're a sponsor, you get to come to the VIP happy hour at the night before at the River North, or advisory board member, of course. And then, so that'll be like a little more, very smaller happy hour. We did that before at the Holiday Inn 2 years prior. So yeah, so if you want to be a sponsor, talk to Rebecca. She's doing sponsorship this year. So far, Bosch, Thermador, Gaggenau, and Guaranteed Rate, and we're real close with Woodmode and Graph, and so yeah, so we're really excited. Everybody's been very supportive and loyal. You know, we're grassroots. We don't make a lot of money, but we think we deliver a lot of value.
Great, Wendy. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you guys, if you want to sort of override that corporate thing, if you sponsor, depending on how much the sponsorship is, you get tickets.
I was gonna ask about that.
You get free
actually. That
tickets.
might be good.
And that should bring some
I
key
would-
people too.
I would like to. Again, I'm not a member, so I apologize. This is my first meeting. I'm loving everything I'm hearing. So I would love some sponsorship.
So if you
info.
sponsored, you get some free tickets, plus
Yeah.
you could bring them.
You can invite your people.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would
Added
definitely
value.
be interested in that. So
I'd be
this is
happy
my
to
first
reach out to
meeting.
you.
Catherine's been a member, so, but I'm loving what I'm hearing, so.
Good.
All right, well, thank you, Wendy, for the explanation. Thank you, Rebecca. I don't want to leave Celine out of our conversation. She's been patiently waiting.
Yeah.
Back to our core question, input about Powerhouse, from your experience.
Okay,
Ups,
so Yes,
Yeah.
I've got the 3 points. So just to piggyback on the luxury conference, yes, it looks like Graph is going again to host the cloakroom. So we're just finalizing marketing budgets, but we put it in for sure. So the luxury conference, I'm personally super excited to go back. Last year was great, virtual, but meeting people is certainly much more, an experience. And I'm looking forward to connecting with other people. And I'd like to, if possible, also invite some of our business partners. So I don't know if you have some sort of an announcement, or how do we share or spread the good news to have local people come and join us at the Mart. And then PHS to me is a great network. I wish we would know more about PHS. And just this year, we've been member as a company. We've been member, but I guess the membership was not directed to the real people. So I'm in the field, and I'm looking forward. And I'm glad this year we had Erica, my colleague, join on the West Coast. So I think the two of us will cover quite a bit. So this is exciting. And Fridays, normally we always have our meetings on Fridays. So now today it's lucky because we got to, I squeezed out of one of the meetings, but time-wise, any time for me, Fridays may be a little more challenging. But the more we have these, I think the better. They don't need to be too long. So I'll cut this one short now. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine. Appreciate the input.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brian,
Okay,
you want to share?
sure. So I've known Wendy for so long. Hey, Wendy. And I really believe in her power of networking and her belief in connecting people together. So to answer some questions, to go on the gathering things, I don't think Fridays are the best. Everyone's a little stressed on Mondays and Fridays to get together. So like Wednesday, Thursdays tend to be a little better. I really like the mix of different things. Like I used to really like the Power Connect luncheons because Wendy would strategically put people together, which was always great. It was always kind of a good venue, and you got to really meet 8 or 10 people and a little deeper dive. And I like the idea of the pop-up happy hours too, because I just went to one for National Association of Builders, and it was at a brewery in Skokie. And again, they thought there'd be about 40 people. There were 75 people, very big, open air, spread out and so on. And it was really well attended. So I do like that idea too. As far as what I'm trying to get from the luxury conference and just going forward with Powerhouse, one would be, again, just reconnecting with a few people that you get to see face to face is always helpful. And then hopefully, again, I always try to at least get 1 or 2 new connections, not 20 or 40, but 1 or 2 solid connections that you can really meet with and get to know and hopefully develop a solid relationship over that 2022. And to be top of mind to people. I'm a little different because I lend money for a living. So there's a lot of tradespeople in this, right? Whether it be designers or marble companies and so on. So mine's lending money for projects and individuals. So just to be top of mind for all the members, because I can lend money anywhere in the country. So to them to realize if they're in California or Florida or looking elsewhere or buying second homes or family or friends, that I can help them, as well as any introduction will be valuable for them as well, as far as some discounts through the introduction. So again, just supporting my business in 2022, top of mind to our members, maybe a highlight of me, either a spotlight highlight or a membership highlight online. So something along that line. But I'm a big believer in Wendy and her smartness in understanding why people are doing this and strategically thinking about how she can connect people. She's extremely good at that.
Thanks, Brian.
You're
Well
welcome.
said. Rebecca, would you like to share your thoughts?
Sure. Well, I just wanted to say actually what Wendy's done with Powerhouse SMART is really, is really innovative, really. Wendy's an innovator. We're not trying to puff up your head, Wendy, but I mean, the whole concept of Powerhouse SMART is so innovative. And, people, when I first joined, probably a couple of years before Yael, 2 or 3 years before Yael, I remember Dean said, you got to drink the Kool-Aid. Well, I didn't really understand what that meant, but I just kept coming back for more Kool-Aid, You really just have to,
as you grow as a business person, I grew my business just like Yael. I grew my business in Powerhouse SMART, and I love my work now because I really do. My team members are Powerhouse people. Not that I don't mind meeting new resources. I love that, but it just makes it easier. It's fun. And then if I meet someone new at a meeting, and just Brian lent me money for my condo. Thank you, Brian.
So excited.
It was
Awesome to work.
It's scary. It was a scary process because I never bought property before, but I got to know Brian because he just kept on showing up with a smile to the meetings. I'm like, okay, it's a safety net here. It's a safe haven here. And that's what I feel about Powerhouse. And when you feel safe, you grow and you thrive personally and business wise.
But people have been pre-vetted, so you know their quality.
Yeah.
Right. Wendy does that very, very well. And yeah. And I guess in terms of the conference, you know, I was just saying to Wendy and Darrell, when I complain, then I try to do something about it. And I said to Wendy and Darrell, let's do something, you know, let's do something even more innovative and different. And Wendy had the idea of the TEDx talks. And I know what I expect when I go to a professional conference. And really, this is the only one that I go to because I do see people in my industry. You know, I've been to other events and other professional associations, but really Powerhouse SMART is the most effective networking for me. And so I expect innovative education, and Wendy's always on the cusp. You know, one year there was a real strong emphasis on VR and technology, and Wendy's always looking, what's the next step? And I'm thinking that, you know, especially because of COVID, we really need to focus on humanity and bringing humankind into the process. And that's exactly what Wendy's doing with these SMART talks. So it's not only just learning technical stuff, we're going to be inspired by people who are in our disciplines, but who are thinking outside of the box. Like, how can we make it our work more meaningful? So that's always my expectation when I go to any professional conference or seminar. And trust me, I'm picky and I get disappointed, you know? So, but I'm really super excited about the conference this year.
Great, Rebecca, thank you. Did we get everybody around the room? I think so.
I'm giving you back to Darrell.
All right, well, I'm just gonna echo what I heard. I could say ditto to everything I heard. I'll add two things. One is that networking is extremely important to me. I think it should be important to everybody. Not everybody knows how to network. And when I started my own business back in the 90s, I didn't know how to network. I joined every group I could join. I spent more time going to networking than doing business. And I thought, well, that's not going to work. And I, over the years, have refined what I'm looking for in a networking group. And much like Rebecca, this is really the only networking group that I engage with. And I get so much value out of it, that this is the investment I can make. I don't have to go from here to 6 other meetings. So this has just been a great find for me, and to be part of helping to cultivate pieces of it. The other thing that's important to me, and I think it should be important to everybody, is I'm in the business of training and educating. And so I think that the educational opportunity that comes from Powerhouse, informally, what we're doing right now, professionals sharing their ideas with each other, and the formal things that we do that I think bring a lot of goodness to our businesses, whatever our discipline or trade is another thing that I look to and I value from Powerhouse. And I'll use that as a prelude. I told you I wanted to kind of stretch the agenda a little bit today, and we still have time. We're gonna finish at the bottom of the hour. I have another question. I'll sort of open the floor to, so everybody doesn't have to go around and be thinking of something, but interviewing, this would be something kind of close to Wendy's heart. I think the interviewing skills, either when we interview candidates or early in our career when we have been interviewed as a candidate, I think it's important for us to focus on that. And I've got a sharp eye on the younger people. I keep thinking about a younger generation of people who are coming up, you know, within the decade, not for all of us, but a lot of people who are underlings now will be taking over positions similar to what we do, and perhaps even taking over our own positions. And I think it's never too early to start to cultivate that. And one of the things that needs to be worked on is helping them become better at interviewing, to read talent. And though we don't want to drive people away, but should they make a career change, they need themselves to become a better interviewer. So my question is, what's an experience from your career when either you were interviewing for a job earlier in your career, or when you have interviewed a candidate? What's a particularly notable interview And by that, I mean, maybe something that was really an aha for yourself, or maybe you saw it in the interviewer, or maybe a very funny story that, in the weird or funny category. So I always think there's, and I know you're all thinking right now, I'll share a quick story from my experience to kind of set the tone. My first significant interview was for my first real job out of college. I was not yet 23 years old, and I was interviewing with the company Lockheed Martin in Orlando, Florida. I was flown down there. I've shown up for the interview, and I'm in the lobby, and I'm greeted by a woman who introduces herself as Dorothy, and she was the what we'd call a department administrator, but this was the 70s, so they called her the department secretary. And she introduced herself, and we started off towards my first interview. And we had a long walk. This was a 2 million square foot factory with 17,000 employees under one roof. And my first interview was with the manager in the very back of the facility. We probably had about 5 minutes, and she's asking a lot of good questions of me. She asked, how was the hotel they put me up in? How did I find this position? What attracted me to this position? Things like that. We're having a pleasant chit chat during our lengthy walk. And we get to the door of my interview, and he said, "This is Mr. Barber. He's the head of our division that writes proposals for the so-and-so program. And he'll be your first interview, and then he'll take you to your second interview, and so forth and so on. At the end of the day, you'll be brought to Mr. McQueen's office. That's our department head." And I said, "Well, I've been seeing you again?" And she said, "Actually, no, I've got other business to attend to." And I said, "Well, I'm really sorry. I thought I'm really going to charm her at this point. You're 22 years old." I said, "Well, I'm sorry you won't get a chance to interview me." And she smiled. She said, "I just did." And that really threw me for a loop, because I had not thought about that. Well, I was probably halfway into that first 1 hour interview with that first person before I kind of settled back down again. But my takeaway, and it didn't hit me right away, my takeaway I think is important for people to understand is that when you interview, this is something young people don't always pick up on. It's not when you sit down at the table across from the interviewer. It's not even when you walk in the front door. It's not even when you pull into the parking lot. It starts from the moment you either accept or request the opportunity to interview. You're being read and measured from the beginning. I don't think a lot of younger people realize that. I didn't know it at that time. And I think, you need to do more to set yourself up. So that's my story and my takeaway. Does anyone else have anything they can share?
I have a couple of things.
Yeah.
So one is I learned as far as interviewing people, I let my staff interview them first. So when they come down to me, we're usually down to the last two candidates for a position. And I ask them about, a little bit about their experience, but I mainly ask them one specific question. Ask them what their parents do for a living. So I really care that anybody that had a parent that was self-employed or ran a business and, had basically sales or P&L responsibility, because if they had to run a business and even if they worked 2 or 3 jobs, if their parent maybe wasn't college educated and they maybe were a single parent and they worked 2 or 3 jobs, what kind of work ethic that person's been exposed to, or if their parent was self-employed, one or both, they understand what it takes and hard work to be successful. So I really asked that question first and foremost. And then a kind of a funnier story. I have a client of mine who is a manager, and he told me a story of younger people coming in for interviewing. And the stories he told me lately were, one, when the person comes in, there's more and more people that have their parents come in with them. Like when parents are sitting in the lobby and they're like, "Okay, you're 23, 22, 24. Like, why is your parent here?" So then if they obviously turn this person down for a job or further interviews, he's had the parent call. The interviewer doesn't call, the parent calls. He goes, "Totally terrible, red flag. Don't ever have your parents come. Don't ever have your parents engage in this. We're interviewing you. And the fact that you have to bring your parents along, your parents have to call for you is a terrible thing." And then he kind of said the one thing about, he had a younger person come in, and he said many good candidates, but he had one that came in and the interview was like from 9 to 9:30, and the person came in at 9:24. And he came in and he goes, "It's 9:24, correct?" And the young person said, "Well, yeah, we've got still 5 minutes left, before the 9:30. So we have plenty of time. He goes, well, actually, I want to tell you, it was really nice to meet you. Good luck in your career. But in the future, please get to any of you anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early, because if you run into traffic, whatever, you'll be well served to get to an interview early. And he thanked him, and the young person looked shocked that he would not interview him because he was 25 minutes late.
Unbelievable.
So
So,
that makes total sense, right?
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are a couple of
That's
stories.
great, and I read about this among Generation Z. I think Z is like the youngest.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Brian, what generation is it? Obviously, I'm 40, so is it the generation?
It's more like
the new ones?
It's more 24 to 32 or
Oh,
23
wow.
to 32
Interesting.
that you just see, sometimes fantastic. Like there's an operations assistant we hired. He was going to be a history teacher.
Yeah.
And like very few people teach history anymore apparently. So he couldn't get a job in teaching history, but he coached baseball for one of my assistants. And she said he's really good, follows through, very enthusiastic. So he still does coach baseball on the side, but she said he has a really great work ethic. She knows nothing about banking, he knows nothing about lending, but his interpersonal skills of hard work and follow through was like, we can teach you about Granite, we can teach you about lending, we can teach you hopefully over time about interior design if you have that
Right.
skill set, but you have to have a mindset of wanting to work
Cut from a different.
and
road.
learn, and it's
And
okay.
wanting to learn.
Right, and
Coachable.
you're not gonna get paid $100,000 a year because you think you know something and you really don't know anything,
Absolutely.
but you can learn it.
Right.
So,
And my takeaway, even from an example like that about sending the candidate away because they couldn't get through on time, a learning moment for the candidate. And maybe thick-headed, maybe it's not gonna get through. It's not our job to train candidates that we're not gonna consider. But when they're with us, when they're in our environment, we should treat them as honored guests, certainly, and impart upon any knowledge we can. If that person leaves and even storms out our front door, and yet somehow learns from it and becomes a more useful, suitable candidate for someone else, good. That's just part of the training they should get. So-
Well, I tell my kids to this day, when I was in design school, I was looking for side work. And so I created this position at Graham Anderson Post and White. It's a architectural firm. I created a marketing position. I sold it to them. I was doing their proposals. I could not get there on time. It was like I couldn't get there on time. I would get there at 5 after 8, and I was coming from Irving Park. Sometimes 10 after 8, I could not get there on time. So one of the partners said to me, "You have to get here on time." And I said, "You're right. I could not." I don't know what it was. It was like the universe. They fired me. I'm gonna say it. It was the only job I got fired from. But I tell my kids to this day, when I couldn't get them out of bed to get to school, I got fired from a job. I couldn't get there on time. You know?
I was
It's a lesson learned.
raised with the saying, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I
Yeah.
live by, so
Good.
with my kids as well, so.
And
You sound nicer. I'm more mean.
So Darrell, can I
Yeah.
just say, okay, so was perfect segue because I was gonna ask Rebecca to talk about this. The younger generation, you guys, is all up to us. We have to nurture them and guide them. And it may not be that they ever come to work for us personally, but we need to keep sharing. And Yael, I love Yael because she was one of the top 20 Powerhouse SMART candidates who came to the first luxury conference, and she interviewed with me and she was vetted and she was accepted, and look at her today. She's got her own architectural studio and she's like famous. She goes to Italy, you know. So really we have to nurture. And so one of the things that we're doing this year to bring more Powerhouse SMART young people in is each one of the associations that we do the collaboration with, which would be HBAGC, NKBA, AIA, ASID, ILCA, and and the realtors, Brian, North Shore Board of Realtors. We're giving them four scholarships where they can award 4 of their younger generation members to come to the conference and be recognized for no cost, and a very discounted membership, like $10 for the first year. So we're going to have all these like 30 young people that are like really super smart superstars, and we have to nurture them, and we have to see them at this conference and teach them that the networking that we're doing now is not just all using your phone and texting, that it's picking up the phone and making a phone call, because I have 26-year-olds to 31-year-olds. So they all know the work ethic, Brian, but they also, I've taught them, look in the eyes, connect, talk to people. And so I'm sorry, I just wanted to tell you about that in case you're in an association, because we are really working hard. Like Rebecca's goal is to diversify our group, including other ethnicities and age groups.
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks. We have time for maybe one more. If someone has an interview experience that was meaningful or funny or sent you screaming into the parking lot.
I've done a bunch of reading. I've read some interesting things about interviews, and one of the quote tests that some companies will do is offer a cup of coffee or something and wait to see if the candidate will actually pick up to clean up their own glasses or plates or something, just to give a sense of the character of the candidates.
That's a good.
I thought that was an interesting one. And my best, I don't know if I call it best or worst interview thing. I used to be a CPA, and when I was interviewing with firms, one of the partners at one of the local firms sat down in the interview room and opened up the book that they had and literally read the questions word for word, in just the monotone accountant voice. Why do you want to be an accountant today? I'm like, I really think I can save us all a lot of time here. And I don't know that this is going to be a match.
It's funny you said that, because I get contacts, right? So I went to get my contacts. When they go to test your eyes, they make you take your contacts out. So I took my contacts out to go in and get my eyes tested, and I take some paper towels and I'm wiping the countertop and everything. It's obviously the lady's like, you should be very proud. Your mom really trained you well.
Yeah.
So what do you say? What do you mean? She goes, well, you're cleaning up she goes, the amount of people that just leave the stuff there, the garbage there. And I was at a golf thing up at the Ryder Cup, and we were around the greens and stuff. And then my son and I go, did you see this? He goes, what? I go, look at all the people that strewn all their beer cans and garbage, like just on the ground. And I go, literally like 20 feet away, there's a bazillion garbage cans. I said, what kind of person does that?
They
That
have a
doesn't
sense of
understand that
entitlement.
someone else has to now go pick this up because they didn't do it. And this is like an open air, beautiful golf course thing, and you're throwing garbage. I'm like 20 feet away. I'm like,
Lazy.
it was like
That's
amazing.
why at the Masters, they don't let you out of the tents with anything. No cups.
So actually, there was like a cardboard thing, and he and I actually went and started picking up stuff around the green, because I'm like, this is unbelievable that people would do this. So anyway, so you're saying about like tells.
It's a very telling. Yeah. Well, thank you
I
for
have-
sharing the stories.
I have one quick one.
Yes, please.
So my oldest daughter, when she graduated on her last year, she had to pick a business, do a paper case study on. So at the end, when she graduated, there was no offer for employment, but she went, knocked on the door of the business she did the paper on. And there was no position open, but she said, I'd like to, talk to you about what I did at school. They hired her, and it's been 5 years. She's still working there. She created a new position, I guess.
Wonderful. That's
So-
so cool. Yeah.
Never know.
I was just gonna say that the reason I wanted to share this and get this conversation going, I think we have an obligation to everyone who's younger in our organizations to bring them up in so many areas, obviously. Even if it's a candidate that you're not gonna take, if you have wisdom that would be useful for that candidate, share it with them. And most importantly, have all your employees think as if they are the interviewer. You may have a candidate come in, you're gonna show them to 3 people, and they're gonna see 3 people. But every person they interact with in your building, anywhere else you are, your employees should know we have a candidate come in today. Should they bump into them in the hallway, they should introduce themselves, engage them. I think because candidates are interviewing us as much as we're interviewing them.
Yeah.
And you want to give them the impression this is truly a place they want to be at. So anyway, I just wanted to share.
Thanks
a
for
few
bringing
minutes
that
on
up.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. I want to thank everybody. Any final thoughts, comments, or questions? Thank you again. hosting so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Global Granite Marble. Wonderful.
What's your company a little bit?
Tell us.
Yeah, well, share, please.
Well, I've been at Global here for 2.5 years now. Previously was with Terrazzo and Marble for 15 years. So I started there right out of college, right when I graduated. So I've been in the stone industry for 17 years. Global is a very small, I think we have 41 employees throughout 4 locations, very family oriented feel, which is awesome. They definitely do not micromanage us at all. They kind of let us do our thing, which is good, 17 years of experience, and, they put their trust in us, which is awesome. Here in Chicago, we have 6 employees. St. Louis is our national headquarters. The screen, I'm not sure if the screen went off there, sorry. St. Louis is our national headquarters where all of the material, goes into from the ports. And then from there, we send it out to all the 3 other locations. So,
Most of your stuff come from Europe?
it does. It comes from overseas. There are some materials that are domestic. There's a quarry in Vermont, where some marble and some soapstone comes out of. Canada, there's also some quarries as well. So it's a very good company to work for. Terrazzo was a little bit more, it was a larger company, and more of kind of a corporate feel. So, I've enjoyed my time here. And, what do you got to-
Ryan and I were hired on the same day. So, I came from Martina, and then I've been a designer for 20 years in construction. But yeah, he's absolutely right. It's not micromanaged. Our owners, Bethany and Christian, send us pictures of what material they think we like for this particular area. And if we say, hey, it'll sell in the other 3, but we don't want it here, then they kind of pay attention to that. So it's very inclusive of everyone. We don't bring material in from China. So it's mostly like Brazil, India, other countries, Italy. So she's very hands-on, she's wants to touch and see and feel everything. So it has a lot of checkpoints. So we're kind of known for being very high quality, but not as high priced of a supplier. So we get a lot of overflow from, like Terrazzo Marble and Kalia and MGSI. So yeah, so we enjoy it. We like being stone experts.
How's your supply chain? Issues been?
Different question.
I've never seen it like this in 17 years. And I have a couple mentors that have been doing, have been in the industry longer than I've been alive, and they've never seen it like this either. Unfortunately, they're kind of saying it's probably going to get a little bit worse before it's going to get better. So you just kind of, I would assume with everybody else too, you got to roll with the punches.
Does it feel like a 6 to 12 month problem, or what do they feel? And why?
Yeah, I think right around there probably. We've been lucky though, we've gotten, we haven't really had any nightmares like I've heard with some of our competitors. MSI, which is a big competitor, they're an Indian based out of India, and their containers went from an average container just to get empty went from 3,000 to 13 to 15,000. That's just to get it, to fill it. So yeah, it's been some.
What does that mean?
been
I don't
some
understand
challenges.
what that means.
So what you have to do is you have to secure a container in order to, to get it to the factory, to be able to get it loaded. And with all of the backups and everything, and, there's no truck driver shortage, train shortages. Just in order to get a container to fill, you've got to put a deposit down on it.
Right. So
And
you're paying
that
for the
price.
container,
Oh
Yeah,
my
and then you're
goodness.
paying for the material.
Right.
So we're very transparent with, our owners are transparent, so they'll say like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll tell me like, and Ryan, they'll say, hey, the container price is going from 10 grand to 20 grand on this particular material, so we have to up the price a little bit on the material. But it's just because of everything going on right now. So they're very open about it, but we see in the computer when material is coming in, it will say, it's gonna land like December 22nd. We know it's gonna be an additional 2 to 3 weeks because there aren't enough people at port to unload
So it's sitting
containers.
there.
Wow.
So it's sitting,
Yeah.
and it was actually on CBS News of how long it's taking for people to unload, and they're trying to get workers overnight so that they could throw them on rail cars and get them here. But it's just a
Yeah.
waiting game.
The ships, the container ships that have come, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but they're amazing. They're just stacked,
Yeah.
15, 20 high. So usually what they would be an average of 6 days. They would sit out in the bay to wait to come in to get unloaded. There's ships right now that have been sitting for 30 to 90. So what they're doing is have small boats driving people back and forth to
Wow.
maintain those boats just to sit out in the bay because you can't, there's nobody at the port to unload.
Is it better on the East Coast than the West Coast?
It varies. It varies. And then another interesting fact that I've learned throughout this whole thing is the Midwest. It's actually more expensive because it's an average of 14 days longer for that container company to get it back because we're in the Midwest. So what they're doing is they're kind of giving a priority to the bay, around the ports, the states around the ports. So not only is it more difficult for us to get it, the price has gone up in for the Midwest, because if they can get it, to them it's turning, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to ask Celine too, are you guys having the same problems? Because I know you have factories in Europe as well. Oh, you're muted. You got to unmute, sorry.
It's a challenge, yes, because we have our material come from the Great Lakes, and we also airship. So there is, some challenge. But because we are vertically integrated, we're able to produce. Of course, there's raw material challenges, but we stock quite a bit in Milwaukee.
Oh, great,
So,
great.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, David, do you have the same problem getting some of your low voltage materials?
Yeah, it's a disaster. It's a total disaster. It seems like, not only are the boats are stuck out at port, there are no trucks to transport them to the trains, and then there are no train cars to bring them to the Midwest. But it seems like with one particular manufacturer where everything was allocated, they recently caught up, but again, we're being told that it's going to do that. Also, there was a chip factory overseas in Asia that burned down, and that has all of the audio, video, and automotive chips are made there. So on top of that, there's just not even a factory to make the stuff. And so, it's just one thing on top of
Compound.
it.
Yep.
As we like to say, it's a dumpster fire of a year.
Yes. Well, we're all here together. We're in this together. We're going to survive through this. We survived through COVID. We're still surviving through COVID. We're going to be here when the air clears. And luckily the demand is there, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure. Have a great week. Happy holidays. Healthy. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you very much.